Welcome back to another episode of the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. I'm your host and the man behind the mic, K-Sap. So the NFL and the media is using Shedeur Sanders' name for every headline to draw attention. And to me, I just think it's just a smear campaign and a lot of smoke and mirrors. But we're going to unpack all that here next here on the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. Well, guys, man, we got to talk about it, man. When it comes to Shedeur Sanders, man, it's a lot going on and it's a lot being said. Now, we know yesterday that the Baltimore Ravens and the Cleveland Browns was playing on the Baltimore Ravens' 30th anniversary. Now, Cleveland Browns was in town. And instead of talking about the game, the build up to the game was there was reports out, and Adam Schefter reported that Shedeur Sanders turned down a chance to be drafted by the Baltimore Ravens in the 5th round at 141st pick. And the crazy thing about it is it was a whole storyline built up about that instead of a storyline built up about how bad the Cleveland Browns look and how bad Joe Flacco looks and how bad this organization and Kevin Stefanski and general manager Andrew Berry and owner Jimmy Haslam look as a whole. And a lot of people want the Cleveland Browns to move on from Joe Flacco and to give the young rookies a chance. Now, you know you got Dylan Gabriel as your number 2. Give Dylan Gabriel a chance. What we saw in the game, Joe Flacco was benched in the 4th quarter, and Dylan Gabriel got a chance. He threw a touchdown, but that was in garbage time when the Ravens had already won the game, and they was already winning 41-10, and they took out their defensive starters. Dylan Gabriel threw a touchdown. It's time to let the young guys cook. But they don't want to talk about that. They want to talk about everything that's surrounding around Shedeur Sanders. The report came out because what happened? The Baltimore Ravens and the Cleveland Browns was playing. So the headlines was Shedeur Sanders turned down the Baltimore Ravens. To me, I've always said it's almost like a smear campaign. Anything that you can do to slight or slander Shedeur's name, it's going to happen. You know, the NFL, on the draft process, a lot of people said a lot of collusion was going on. These owners got together and told people, do not draft Shedeur Sanders. Now, what I say, what don't come out in the wash will come out in the rinse. Now all the storylines are coming out. The draft been going. That's focused on football. That's focused on the now. See, what's happening is anything that's dealing with the Cleveland Browns, they're going to throw Shedeur's name in there to cover up a lot of things. Like I said, it's a lot of smoke and mirrors. Because we saw they lost their home opener to the Cincinnati Bengals. The kicker missed 2 field goals. But what was the focus? Focus was on Shedeur Sanders going up, consoling kicker, and everybody made a big deal about that, talking about Shedeur did it for clout. Then they talked about Shedeur Sanders having his hat on backwards with sunglasses on the sideline, saying he wasn't focused. He should have been tuned in the game like Dylan Gabriel. We saw what Tony Rizzo co-host said, and Tony Rizzo had to chew him a new asshole because he's talking about, let me give Shedeur Sanders a word of advice. It was like, he don't need a word of advice. So everything that they're doing is trying to cover up the bad organization that the Cleveland Browns is going through. They're throwing Shedeur Sanders' name in every media headline. Now, we can go as far as to say, you're going to do it that way. Talk about every team that he's going to face. Talk about why that team did not draft him. Give us some information on why that team didn't draft him. Outside of teams like Kansas City, Buffalo, and other teams like that have quarterbacks that you know you're not going to get in. Let's talk about the other teams that need quarterbacks. Let's talk about the other teams that bypassed on Shedeur Sanders. Make that a headline. Let's hear about that now. Won't y'all bring that to light? But Shedeur Sanders had a quick response to what Adam Schefter reported. But before we get off into his response, we partnered up with Underdog Fantasy, and here's a word from our sponsor.
Underdog Fantasy is the best way to play fantasy sports. Let me tell you about the easiest way to get in on some WNBA and NBA action. Find your player, pick higher or lower, win you some extra cash. Pick between 2 to 5 players to fill out your pick'em entry. Get every pick right and win some serious cash. Use my promo code SBD23 and receive up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Now that it's football time, follow Simply Ball Dropping as I share my picks. Like I said, pick your player, choose your amount, win money. Make picks, win cash. Thank you, Underdog Fantasy, for the partnership with us. And thank you for using promo code SBD23 on Underdog Fantasy.
Well, guys, with that being said, man, let's take a look at how Shedeur responded to the response and what Adam Schefter reported yesterday before the game. Shedeur said his response was, "My response is I'm focused on the now," Sanders said when asked about the report after the team's 41-17 loss to the Ravens Sunday via Cleveland.com. "I really don't talk about anything in the past. Whatever happened in the past, it is what it is. I'm more focused now, and I'm more focused on the game we just had, figuring out how to move forward from that." Now, everything Shedeur Sanders has said has been on point and classy, right? He's handled this situation with utmost grace. And the thing about it is, he stated there, everything in the past is in the past. It is what it is. He's focused on the now. He's focused on how this team can get better. But like I told you guys, it's a lot of smoke and mirrors. It's a smear campaign. Let's start hearing something positive when it comes to Shedeur Sanders. Like, Shedeur Sanders got first team reps, man. He's, in a position to play in the NFL this year for the Cleveland Browns. Because we always said Joe Flacco, with the state of him being 40 years old, the bad game that he had with the turnovers, the pick, and the fumble loss that Roquan Smith scoop and score for a touchdown, then also the pick to Nate Wiggins, which almost could have been a touchdown, got down to the 2-yard line, and then the touchdown that he threw to Tillman should have been picked by Marlon Humphreys, but the ball went through his hands and landed in Tillman's hands in the end zone for a touchdown. Joe Flacco is not mobile enough to move, but Kevin Stefanski after the game has said Joe Flacco is the guy going forward. You got to give these rookies a chance. Yeah, Dylan Gabriel came in there when it was 41-10 and got himself a late touchdown with the Baltimore Ravens starters being out. But it's time to move on and let these young guys go. Time to give Shedeur Sanders a boost of confidence to let him know that it's a chance that he's going to take a NFL snap this regular season with the Cleveland Browns. That's what he's focused on, being prepared to be put in the fire. Let's hear some positive things about Shedeur Sanders moving forward. Stop using his name for all these headlines that y'all do with sports media and mainstream media, stuff that has nothing to do about nothing. And some of this stuff is coming out of the, Cleveland media, with things that they're saying, and, people talking about the hat backwards and the glasses and going up to the kicker, Andre Smith, consoling him, doing it for clout. Come on, man. Stop with the smear campaign. I told you guys, it's a lot of smoke and mirrors when it comes to Shedeur Sanders. Like a lot of fans are saying, and a lot of people in the comment section are saying, They're using Shedeur Sanders' name as sales to keep this team relevant, man. Jersey sales, keeping him in the forefront on their website. Pictures of Shedeur Sanders, the jerseys. But a lot of people saying, hey, go to ShedurSanders.com and get these jerseys. Don't go to NFL.com or Cleveland.com. What they're doing is it's a smear campaign with Shedeur's name, man. Bringing up old stuff that's not even relevant to what's going on right now. Shedeur is focused on trying to get in the game. And if you guys listen to First Take today, when Stephen A. Smith and Cam Newton was talking about, Cam Newton said, if I was Shedeur, I would have went behind, Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson's 28 years old. Shedeur Sanders is not going to sit there for 6 and 7 years before he gets a chance. Lamar Jackson is a superstar quarterback in this league, 2-time MVP. Yeah, you can learn a lot, but you're not going to touch that field unless barring injury. But you still got Tyler Huntley that went back over to Baltimore. So Shedeur Sanders, business-wise and football-wise, playing with the Cleveland Browns, he probably thought this through. Agent Joe Flacco. Then you got Dylan Gabriel, but he'll be a chance to be a backup quarterback to Dylan Gabriel if Joe Flacco gets in, because Joe Flacco's not the answer for Cleveland. Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel is the answer. You don't have to look into next year's draft because we already saw what Arch Manning is about. They booing him in Texas already. He's not the savior for Cleveland. You have your franchise quarterback there, and I believe it's Shedeur Sanders. Let's start talking positivity about Shedeur Sanders. Let Shedeur cook. I see everybody in the comments section hashtag Luke. You guys let me know what y'all think about today's video. Are they putting Shedeur Sanders' name for a smear campaign? It's a lot of smoke and mirrors. It'd be interesting to hear from you guys. I see everybody in the comments section hashtag salute. If you're not subscribed to the channel, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, turn your post notifications on so you know every time Simple Ball drops a hot banger. Oh yeah, just in case I forgot. Tell a friend to tell a friend. It might not be for you, but it might be for them. This is going to wrap up another episode of the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. I'm your host and the man behind the mic, K-Sap. I'm going to catch you on the next one. Deuces.
Thanks for listening to the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share on all major platforms.
That's all, folks.